Bitcoin continues to trade explosively, big time sideways. There is something on the charts right now that is so huge, after you see it, you literally won't even be able to stand up. Now that's big. Right now, the price of Bitcoin is literally where it was at 6 months ago. But what if I told you that's all about to change? And this is your last chance. Beginning next month, Phemex will start requiring KYC. So if you'd like to buy Bitcoin or altcoins on Phemex without KYC, you have to do it now. And without any further ado, let's get dumped on. As we see, for over 180 days, Bitcoin has just been ranging sideways. Well, what if I told you that that's all about to change? If we look at Bitcoin, still sitting within this descending, broadening wedge, something even bigger is actually happening on the weekly chart, which if we look at the MACD for Bitcoin's weekly chart, this momentum really died back at the end of April, which Bitcoin's price at the end of April was already on a little bit of a downtrend, but it was pretty much when we got that rejection around 70,000 US dollars. And we saw the blue cross below this orange line here, and we've seen obviously heavily dump-worthy price action. We have not seen this blue cross back above this orange line since then, so it's been multiple months. And as well, the RSI on Bitcoin's weekly chart as well has been absolutely dumped on. Every time this purple line has tried to get back above this yellow line, it has faced a swift rejection. In fact, just a couple of days ago, our last attempt to kind of do that also faced a sharp rejection. And right now, at this very second, on Bitcoin's weekly chart, we're sitting right beneath the 21-week moving average, which if we zoom in is where we just basically got this rejection so far. Okay, we came back up to it after a massive bounce here from about the low 50s, high $40,000 range, strong bounce on the 50-week moving average, but we so far have now gotten a rejection so far. It's not a very strong rejection, but a rejection on the 21-week moving average for Bitcoin. A lot of volume, actually. If we pull out the VRVP and we look to see the accumulated volume here, you can see we're actually sitting on a decent chunk. There's a lot of support, though, at about 57 to 58,000 US dollars. It's a pretty strong level of VRVP volume. It's overall just a pretty strong level. It's pretty much where we've seen most of these bounces in the last 6 months every time we've tried to break this range. But this range is truly like not really breaking. It's unfathomably boring, okay? But we are still holding within the same range. On the daily chart, you see this range yet again, just this straight across squiggly. We see that volatility for Bitcoin is still relatively low, even after some of these recent spike ups. They kind of just immediately die off, right? Every little dump or pump that we get is so short-lived, and it goes right away back to sideways. The weekly chart for the SPX, looking at the traditional stock market, we're right now sitting basically right at, actually look at the daily, we're sitting right at those previous all-time highs that we set back in the middle of July, around July 16th. Right around, for the SPX, it was right around 5670 or so. Right now we're about 5630. So we're right there. I mean, less than 0.5% away from new all-time highs for the SPX. I think that with rate cuts coming in just, weeks, it's very likely the stock market begins to rally, which would very heavily impact the price of Bitcoin as well, likely to push it forward, to push it up. We also see that on the daily chart for Bitcoin, we're right now below all of the key daily moving averages. Actually, we're trying right now to get above the 21-day moving average. But we're kind of just literally sitting right at it right now. So even on the daily, we're looking for some sort of a bounce that so far hasn't really cemented itself yet. We see as well, if we look at the weekly RSI, there's a very clear level. If we zoom in here, you can see there's a very clear level of kind of where we continuously get rejected. Okay, it's a downtrending line here. We got rejected back in May. We got rejected in July. We did as well just get rejected in August as well. But I mean, this goes all the way back to March. The very beginning of March is where this downtrend really began for the RSI for Bitcoin, really. So we haven't actually broken this yet. Seeing it's basically coming down to crunch time. Pretty much there's only so much time left before a real, a breakout actually causes this RSI trend line to break. It hasn't yet. But we're now at the point where like so much time has gone by, there's so little room. We've gotten dumped on for so long and traded sideways for so long and done nothing for so long, just soaked the volatility out of this market, that the next time this RSI breaks would be probably one of the biggest signals we could look for to actually say, wow, this actually is the beginning of the next leg up. The MACD on Bitcoin's weekly chart, as we talked about, I mean, still it has been so dumpy for 6 months. And as you can see, it doesn't really stay that dumpy without some sort of significant multi-month bounce for long, especially now where if we look at the true, like what we're in, okay, this goes back nearly 2 years. We've been almost in a 2-year uptrend. But of those 2 years that we've been in an uptrend, 1 entire year of it was sideways. We have 6 months sideways here and 6 months here. So of this 2-month long bull market of going up, literally half, or realistically even more than half of it, is literally just trading sideways. And then you see, okay, so I'll circle all the sideways. That's 6 months right there. Here's another 6 months. Here is, geez, that's another 3 months. Here is another 3 months. So of the last 24 months, about 18 of those months have been sideways. That's awful in terms of like being boring. Like it's very boring. Okay, the only time really move here, which took a couple weeks, move here, which took a couple weeks, and a pump here that took a couple weeks. The rest of it's literally sideways. But we have to, the trend is your friend until it ends. And so far, this trend has not ended. So far, this trend is still up. And we have really not seen a very strong bull market whatsoever, which is very indicative of the fact that we still have a lot to see, especially because a year ago, if you were making videos about Bitcoin and you didn't talk about the macro, bearish people would say, oh, well, you can't ignore the macro. It's really bearish. You can't be bullish at all because it's all the macro is bearish. When now it's the complete opposite. If you talk about the macro, there's a very strong case to be made that we have many months of bullish upside possible, specifically because of the macro. Okay, whether or not we get a dump right when rate cuts happen or not, it's not super significant. Very likely what we're going to see is liquidity increase, which historically has helped the Bitcoin push up. And that's really more important than anything. And remember, you only have a few days left. Sign up with the link to Phemex below if you want to buy Bitcoin or altcoins before it implements KYC. If you sign up now, you will not have to KYC, but coming soon next month, you will have to KYC. So sign up now if you're interested. With any further ado, it's from me.